Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I have to say, as much as I expected the contents of the Prime Minister's speech today, it was still a bit of a punch in the gut. I did hold out hope that perhaps she would listen to the entreaties of the Scottish Government and others and see common sense and say, no, we would seek to preserve the UK's place in the single market. But it is not to be. But I was hoping perhaps in this debate as well we might see a different approach from the Conservative benches, one which recognises their responsibility to the people of Scotland and not simply to the interests of the City of London or other interests out with this country. And I have to say it's very disappointing because I know there's many reasonable members in the Conservative benches who campaigned to remain, who still believe it we should be part of the European Union and know in their hearts that's the right thing to do, but they're not willing to say it. Rather, what we have is we have a sellout. It was only in June that the leader of the Conservative Party in Scotland stood in this very chamber and said that retaining our place in the single market was a priority. That was after the referendum. That was a clear statement of principle, and they have reneged upon it. Now, it wasn't just that. The UK Tory manifesto in 2015 spoke of membership of the single market, and numerous Conservative frontbenchers here and in the UK Government spoke of the catastrophic effects of withdrawal from the European Union and withdrawal from the single market. Yet now, when they have an opportunity to speak up for their constituents, do they take that opportunity? No. And I think it's worth remembering how this Parliament came about. This Parliament, for many people, was inspired by the experience of living through 18 years of remote Conservative government from London. A situation when we were helpless, with no opportunity to speak for ourselves. That was something bitterly experienced by my own constituents in Linwood. So everyone in this Parliament has a fundamental duty to speak up for Scotland's interests. That was the vision of this Parliament. Many people campaigned. Many people in the Labour Party campaigned for this Parliament. So never again would the Scottish nation be subject to a Tory government that was not elected here, taking decisions that would be economically and socially catastrophic. So when this Parliament does speak up on Brexit, when it does advocate a positive solution for Scotland, when the Scottish Government puts proposals forward, it is perfectly not just entitled to do so, it is duty-bound to do so. And so it really is disheartening when members of the Conservative Party come in here and complain that we are debating Brexit. Now, I would like to touch upon a few of the Conservative responses and contributions in the debate today. I think that we are at a really crucial moment in our history. This is a time for inspired leadership. It is a time for vision. You know, I was reflecting as we approached Inauguration Day in the US presidential election, President-elect Trump on Friday, of what is leadership. And I recall the words of JFK. He spoke at Rice University in 1962 when he was setting the target of reaching the moon. And he said, "We choose to go to the moon and other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because they will serve to organise and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, and we are unwilling to postpone, and we intend to win." And then I listen to the Conservative benches today, gurning, whining, "We can't do it. It's too difficult. It's too hard. I'm very sorry, I'm pressed for time. I would otherwise take an intervention." That is not what we need. That was an effete, insipid, uninspired and supine performance. A complete betrayal. Constituents of many Conservative members voted overwhelmingly for Remain, and they are now being betrayed. But I thought there was something rather... Pardon? Well, I have a conception of democracy which is Scottish democracy, and the people of Scotland voted overwhelmingly to remain within the European Union. And I will take, it's time, I don't know much more time, but I will say one thing. Mr Mundell accused me of being, and my colleagues, of being left-wing separatists. To the first charge, I'll plead guilty. But the only separatists in this chamber are the separatists sitting around Mr Mundell. His party, the party that wants to make firms say how many European workers they have, it wants to put a levy on European workers for companies. It will not give security and guarantee the status of European citizens. These are the real separatists. Thank you, Presiding Officer.